Starting in machine embroidery can be a bit of a daunting and confusing task. You might be wondering, where do I start? What all do I need to know? And how can I learn it all quickly? Well, thankfully, our new Easy to Follow Embroidery Legacy Beginner series is going to answer all these questions and more for you to help you get past the learning curve and well on your way to mastering this beautiful art. Hi, I'm John Deere, the world's most awarded embroidery digitizer and owner of Embroidery Legacy. My family's been in the embroidery industry since the 1950s, and with over 35 years of experience under my belt, I've taught thousands of new embroiderers like you the ropes. In these Embroidery Beginners videos, I'm going to walk you through some of the essential embroidery principles and share some of our family's time-tested tips, tricks, and secrets, from hooping to thread types and so much more. If you follow along with these videos, you'll be embroidering like a pro in no time. Now, in the last video we covered hooping, and in this video we're going to cover one of the most important things in embroidery, and that is thread. Without thread, you really don't have embroidery, and thread has evolved over the years. 50 and 60 years ago, when my family was doing freestanding lace and making emblems, our thread of choice was rayon thread, and in today's market it's polyester. Now, the reason why we used rayon is because polyester wasn't even available, and when it did first hit the market, it didn't have a really nice sheen. The rayon thread has always had a really nice sheen to it, and even though it might not have been dye fast or color fast, it actually was much softer, and to this day, when I actually do freestanding lace, I will choose rayon thread because it lays down and it's nice and soft. If I do the exact same design with polyester, it actually is a little bit spongy and wiry looking. Now, here's the number one reason why polyester is the thread of choice today, and yes, I use it for the most part 99% of the time as well, is because of this. This is a rayon thread, and I'm going to pull on it, and look what happens. It broke very, very easily, and here is a polyester thread, and if I pull on it, I'm literally almost cutting my finger before the thread breaks. Now, you may have noticed this, but a lot of times when your embroidery machine is running, it can actually do such stitch-intensive designs that it starts to make all of these growling noises, and it literally starts sounding like it's hammering through the embroidery. And that is the difference between quality embroidery, and designs that don't run so well, is how the embroidery feels and how it runs on your machine. Now, in those days when we used rayon thread, our designs had to be nice and soft. They couldn't be stitch intensive, they couldn't be bulletproof, because on a 24 head machine or a Shifley loom that ran up to 1,000 emblems at a time, if you had a stitch intensive design, your machine would be down more than it was up. So I kind of blame polyester for the creation of poorly digitized designs in today's market. In the old days, you just couldn't get away with it. But I do use the polyester thread. It's the thread of choice, and there's multiple brands out there. I have found that different brands of thread do run a little bit differently, and you have some better results on one brand of thread with one brand of machine, and it really is one of those things where you find a brand that your machine really likes, and if you like the assortment and the colors and the price point, then I would just go with those. Now, also with threads, you have to consider the thread that's underneath of the embroidery, which is the bobbin thread. Now, I do, for the most part, run a commercial machine, either 10, 15, 16 needle machines, and I do usually use pre-wound bobbins, which are a thinner polyester weight bobbin. I like to use them when they're pre-wound because it actually gives you a lot of time in stitching because they are wound so tightly and it's a thinner thread. But if I am doing in the hoop projects, or if I'm doing freestanding lace, I will wind my bobbins manually with the same thread on the bottom as I'm using on the top. And if you have a home machine, they all have bobbin winders that are part of the machines. If you have a commercial machine like a 10 needle brother, you'll want to get one of the bobbin winders, which you can order various places. I got this one on Amazon, and this allows me to put a spool of thread and pre-wind my bobbins so that they match top and bottom. Now, there is, of course, other thread types that you can play with. If it's a thicker thread, you might actually have to adjust the size of your needle to accommodate it. I found that some heavier weight threads will run better on certain machine brands than others. Machines generally with rotary hook timing and that cylinder arm that comes out generally handle the thicker weight threads a little more efficiently, and you don't have to slow down the machines as much. But one thread type that causes people a lot of grief traditionally, and this is going back years, is our metallic family. Metallic threads generally cause a lot of issues. We do actually have a video on our YouTube channel that goes into an explanation of why metallics really do break frequently, and I gotta be honest, the number one reason why is because of the way they come off the spool. If you have a metallic thread that is coming off of the spool like this and is turning, it's going to cause kinks and breaks as it passes through the eye of a needle. The whole idea is to turn your thread this direction. Like toilet paper, it avoids all of that looping, and your metallics will run much better. Now, the other thing that I will say about metallics is the price and the quality of the metallics usually go hand in hand. I found metallic threads for really, a great deal on Amazon. Ordered them because it just seemed too good to be true, and you know what? It kind of was. I had thread break after thread break. If I use a reputable metallic brand and generally turn it on sideways so it does come off the spool, rolls off as opposed to spins, then I have much better results, and I can usually run metallics all day long and have no thread breaks. And once again, I mentioned a few techniques, and the links are in the description below if you'd like to watch those videos. Now, one last word of advice when it comes to thread. Whatever brand you actually choose, how many colors do you think you need to have within your thread stash? Now, the answer is all of them. The right color can make or break a design, and it's good to have all of the colors of whatever thread brand you choose. The trick is not to use them all at once. Thanks for watching. If you want to make your embroidery life easier, be sure to hit the subscribe button below to be notified of new tips and tricks videos, giveaways, and more. Plus, if you want to try stitching out some of our embroidery designs, click the link in the description below to learn how to download your free Embroidery Legacy design kit today.